Well, good morning. My name is Thomas Haslam. I'm Director of Innovation at KPMG, and I'm going to talk to you today about how we use Alteryx and Qlik for data discovery and visualization. My agenda today is to talk to you a little bit about our firm's strategy and tools, particularly how we organize ourselves around data and analytics and our Center of Excellence. Describe for a moment why we've picked Alteryx and Qlik as two important software products in our toolkit, and how we're using those products to really contribute to a transformation of our business. I'll also talk a little bit about our Alteryx adoption strategy, what we did in the areas of people, process, technology, and solutions, and the results that we've achieved from that. And then I'll spend most of the presentation taking you through 4 particular case studies that are that use Alteryx and Qlik, and which we are developing for several of our clients. So first of all, KPMG's Data and Analytics Center of Excellence. We call it the Lighthouse. It was set up about 2 or 3 years ago so that KPMG is able to provide the advanced analytics skills that our clients require. The firm has made a number of acquisitions over the last 3 years. They include Synergy, a digital design firm, Link Analytics, a big data analytics firm, Wise Window, a social media analysis firm, and those resources have come into the firm combined with our existing actuarial, forensics, and data experts. So within the Lighthouse, we have around 200 people, and they're split into 3 main areas. We have about 50 data scientists, so pretty hardcore maths, statistics, physics guys. We have about 50 software engineers or data engineers. So they're people who are really strong in the tools, have specific deep domain expertise in some of our client source systems like SAP, Oracle, Hyperion, etc., and are able to do a lot of the data structuring and software development work that we need. And then the remainder of the people are analytics experts, people who are domain consultants experienced in executing analytics projects in a specific industry. In addition to serving our clients and meeting their data and analytics needs, we have a mandate to increase the innovative capacity and analytics capacity of all of our staff. So we are able to provide training to the firm, to coordinate a lot of projects that the firm is executing, and to help the firm build new solutions and new models which we're able to take out to our clients. Our engagements typically involve 2 particular types, or 2 particular flavors. One is where we provide strategy advice to our clients, and that typically involves analysis of data governance, technology architecture, organization capabilities and design, or more broadly, analytics use cases. What are the business problems that you're tackling through analytics, and how can these map to your strategic business objectives to make sure that you're doing the right things in analytics, both efficiently and effectively? The second flavor is analytics execution engagements. So these are engagements where we actually build models and help our clients to incorporate those models into their business processes. So why did we pick Alteryx and Qlik? Well, we have many tools in our toolkit. So they're not the only 2 products that we have, but they are 2 products that we have chosen to make broadly available across the firm. So we have many licenses, and they're broadly available to all of our consultants. This allows them or enables them to really meet the needs of our clients who are more and more expecting us to be able to process and use very large volumes of data, much too large for something like Excel, and to incorporate predictive analytics into our recommendations. And they're requiring and expecting that we're able to present those back to our clients in a more data-driven interactive format than a PowerPoint presentation. So that's where the Qlik dashboard comes in. What we like about Alteryx is the ability to do the end-to-end analytics process on our desktops. We're able to bring the data in, to blend it and structure it, use the analytics tools to analyze it and then output it into reports. We've also found the Alteryx support model to be very well received by our consultants, that it is easy to use, it has strong predictive analytics within the product, and that it integrates smoothly with QlikView, and that you can output your reports into a QlikView file and then view them in QlikView, which I'll show you in a moment. Why we chose QlikView is because we believe that it really supports some of our detailed use cases. Data visualization is crucially important to presenting the story, but equally you need to be able to drill into that data to find root causes and really interact with the data. And we find that QlikView and its data discovery approach is particularly well suited to that. As I mentioned, the Lighthouse was set up around 2 years ago. Before the Lighthouse, KPMG was certainly performing a lot of data and analytics. There were pockets of data and analytics excellence. But we weren't really prioritizing our work. There were different tools used across the business. There was lots of descriptive reporting, not that much predictive and prescriptive analytics. And there was duplicated effort, particularly around how we brought data into the firm and hosted it. So we really cut our teeth in terms of analytics strategy engagements by doing that work on ourselves. And since we've done that and set up the Lighthouse, we've been able to make sure that there's a common tool set available across the firm, that we share best practices and do peer review of the models. There's strong governance and prioritization. There's a lot more advanced analytics happening. There's improved access to data. We're able to attract and retain data science staff. And ultimately, we provide more value to our clients because we are able to execute advanced data and analytics work. So we started using Alteryx probably about 18 months ago at towards the beginning of our Lighthouse journey. And if there was one learning that I'd impress upon people is that you can provide consultants and anybody across the business with a great tool, but you won't get the strong adoption unless you have a plan. So it is important to think through how we're going to make it available to people, how we're going to support them to learn how to use it, and then how we're going to help them to adopt it. And to that end, our plan consisted of 4 main areas: people, process, technology, and then what we call solutions. So dealing with people first, we had a plan to train up a minimum of 300 people and to get 100 of them consistently using the product within the first year. We smashed through those goals. We actually trained around 1,000 people. We had huge demand. And by the end of the first year, we had around 350 what we called regular users, so people who use Alteryx more than once a week. In terms of process, we held lots of training workshops. We called them training boot camps. We traveled around the country making this training available. We made sure people knew where to get the on-demand training, and we documented processes, how to use Alteryx most effectively. In terms of technology, we installed the Alteryx Server Edition centrally so that people could share models. We built an automated package so that it would install through our standard desktop deployment. And we installed the Alteryx Gallery internally, so we're able to easily share models. But maybe the most important thing is we designed solutions, and we built those solutions and made them available to help teams get started. So we went around and we identified the highest value use cases where we might be able to transform an existing Excel-based or manual-based function that a service line executed and rebuild that in Alteryx. Or we identified unmet client needs and built prototypes and then production solutions in Alteryx, which the service lines were able to take out to the clients and start earning real revenue. And this approach to help them to get started by actually doing some of the work showed them the value and really accelerated our adoption. We've now been using the product for, as I said, 18 months to 2 years. We've trained around 1,000 people. We've got 350 weekly users, regular users, We've built over 100 solutions, so there's many deep experience in how to build Alteryx solutions. And what we've really noticed is that it's contributed significantly to data and analytics innovation. Because the tool is easy to use, you're not reliant on IT to set up servers and bring in the data for you. You're really decentralizing analytics and putting the tools in the hands of the user. So we've noticed that there's a lot more data and analytics innovation happening around the firm. So now I'll get into the case study part of the presentation, where I'll show you some of the solutions we have built and briefly talk to you about what they do and then show them to you in Alteryx and Qlik. The first one is what we call our off-label promotion application. And in this solution, the problem statement is in the pharmaceutical industry. So it is legal for a doctor to prescribe a drug for what's called an off-label use, but it is illegal for the pharmaceutical company to market the drug for the off-label use. An off-label use refers to a use of the drug to treat a condition that is not approved by the Federal Drug Administration, by the FDA. So when drug companies bring new products onto the market, they go to the FDA and do rigorous testing to prove to the FDA that the drug is both safe and effective. And then they essentially get licensed to market the drug for the uses that have been approved by the FDA. But that's a very expensive and time-consuming process, so there's a balance to how you do that. Typically, drug companies will get the most common use for a drug approved by the FDA and market the drug accordingly. But there are other uses for drugs. For example, there are antidepressants, tricyclic antidepressants, that are approved for treating depression, but they also can be used and are regularly used for treating chronic pain. And so that would be an example of an off-label use. As mentioned, it's not illegal for a doctor to prescribe a drug for an off-label use, but it is illegal for the drug company to market for an off-label use. And the FDA is very strict on monitoring drug companies for this and have issued many $100 million and above fines to drug companies who have engaged in off-label marketing. And so this is a real problem for companies. They have thousands of drug representatives, and it's not cost-effective to be, obviously they do training for the reps to make sure that they're not doing this, but it's very difficult for them to monitor who might be engaging in off-label usage. But they do have some interesting data sources that they could use to do this. They get access to all of the doctors who are prescribing their drug and what they're prescribing it for. They have all these sales reps, obviously, in the regions that they serve. They have all of the they have records of all of the sales reps' contact with doctors, whether it be through diaries or phone information or expenses. And they know whether the sales reps attended training. So the idea is, how can we combine all of this data and predict, essentially put a risk rating on which sales reps might be engaging in off-label marketing? And that way we can simply go out to the sales reps who are at highest risk of engaging in this type of activity and make sure that they are complying with the law. And this is a big contributor to when the FDA comes and does checks on the drug companies, to be able to show that a system like this is in place is very effective in terms of convincing the FDA that you're doing everything possible to try to guard against off-label marketing by your sales reps. So we use Alteryx and Qlik as the cornerstone of the solution to solve this problem. Alteryx does all of the data import. It then performs predictive analytics to give a risk score to the drug reps, and we output that into a Qlik dashboard, which is easy for the client to drill through and understand and identify those sales reps who are at most at risk of engaging in this type of conduct. So this is what the Alteryx workflow looks like, and this is what the QlikView dashboard looks like. I'll just jump out of the presentation briefly and show you what they look like on the screen. So here is the Alteryx off-label promotion workflow. Here you can see all the inputs coming in, the prescriptions, doctors, sales reps, expenses, call data, etc. Down here you can see it's doing the risk score calculation. And over here you can see that it's outputting all of that information to a series of QlikView files, QlikView Data Exchange or .qvx files. If we open then the actual dashboard, the QlikView dashboard, this is what it looks like. So you can see that it's the KPMG off-label promotion dashboard, and this is mocked up data, of course, but you can get the idea. This company has a series of drugs here. These are the prescriptions that are issued in relation to those drugs. The blue line is on-label usage, so prescriptions for usage that has been approved by the FDA, and the pink line here is off-label usage. And immediately you can see the power of data visualization. We have a clear spike here in April. So if you were looking at this dashboard at the drug company, you'd probably want to drill straight into that March, April, May timeframe, and let's try to find out what's going on there, and see if we can't identify some sales reps who might be engaging in this type of usage, so that we can target our outreach appropriately. So we've limited our analysis just to those couple of months. If we come down here, we can see each of the different drugs and which ones have off-label prescription over time. And you can see really that spike is caused by one particular drug. So let's drill into Glyzet, drill into that drug and see what we can find. Let's come over here now. So we've pre-selected our selections to limit ourselves to Glyzet and those particular months. And let's come and have a look at where these sales by territory are happening. And in here you can see that here are our sales territories. Here's the percentage of off-label usage over here. And it looks as if that spike is driven by one particular region, driven by the Midwest, where 73% of prescriptions were for off-label usage. So let's have a look at the Midwest, and let's see if we can drill into those a little bit more. So we would then come down here and we'd have a look at, okay, which doctors are prescribing off-label usage the most. And you can see actually there's quite a high percentage of off-label usage, but really the top 4 are the ones that are doing the highest volume. So let's drill into these 4 and limit our analysis to those 4. And we then come over to our sales rep risk scorecard, and we'd like to find out which sales reps have the biggest influence on those doctors who are prescribing for off-label usage. And here are our likely offenders: Stephanie, Larry, Gary, and Brian. Let's have a closer look at Stephanie here. So the system has given her an overall risk score of 99, so it's obviously very high, because the doctors that she has most contact with prescribe a lot of off-label usage prescriptions, and most of the prescriptions that they prescribe are off-label. So they're not doing too much prescribing for on-label usage. So it looks as if Stephanie has a large influence on some of those doctors. So that is where you would be targeting your time, and you could also go into some of these other sales reps as well. So that's a brief demonstration of the off-label usage application. I'll just quickly come back into the presentation now and talk to you about our next case study, which is in the area of HR analytics. So in this problem, or in this use case, the client is trying to think, how do I prevent high performers from leaving? Turnover in your workforce is a fact of life. There's always going to be turnover, and in some cases that's not such a bad thing. Refreshing your workforce and making sure that you've got new people coming in is just normal. But what you don't want to do is to lose your high performers. You want to try to keep those good people and make sure that the turnover as far as possible is in the lower performers. So this solution helps in a few different ways. It provides visibility into what my rate of turnover is and where it's happening. There's specific units where most of the turnover is happening. Then it allows you to answer the question, who is leaving the firm? Are they my high performers? And what are the attributes of the people who are leaving that might help me predict who is at risk of leaving? And that obviously allows you to take some preemptive action to try to keep the people who are your high performers from leaving. And so the system actually gives you certain levers that you can push to try to keep those high performers before they turn over. And what we find is often it is not just salary that contributes to a person staying. There's far more complicated reasons, and often they're quite easy for the firm to change, and they significantly reduce the likelihood of the high performer turning over. The analysis is obviously different for every firm, because every workforce is different. So this involves some quite advanced data science as we understand why people leave, and then what is the most effective lever to them staying at the firm or the organization. So the way we do this is we import data from HR systems, from financial systems, etc. We then perform the analytics. We identify the characteristics of all of the staff and which ones have the highest contribution to turning over, so that we're able to predict who is likely to turn over. And then we run an analysis and say, well, what is the most effective thing that you can do to try to prevent that person from leaving? Again, I will jump out of the presentation and show you what this looks like in Alteryx, first of all. So I go back into Alteryx. I open my workflow. I would like to find my HR analytics workflow. So here it is here. And actually, I won't show you the workflow in Alteryx. I'll jump straight into Qlik View and show you that one, because the workflow itself is not that interesting. So I go in here, I open my HR analytics dashboard, and here it is here. So in this dashboard, you can see that we're working for a mining company who have these functions: production, reservoir, drilling, and facilities. They have a few different regions here. They have 5,304 employees, and the threshold that we've picked is tell me all the people who are 30% or more likely to leave this year, and that's quite a large number of people, 2,185. But the big problem here is that my high performers, so of my 5,400 employees, 740 of them are high performers, and a very large number of them are more than 30% likely to leave. I can move this lever a little bit and see how that updates the numbers. So if I get down to who's more than 45% likely to leave, obviously that number is going to come down. And you can see here the effect of your turnover over the last few years. So we had a real problem with turnover back in 2011, but hopefully by using this system, we've been able to take some preemptive action and stop the people from leaving by changing some of their levers. So in this case, we've said, okay, we want to just target everybody who's very likely to leave. So, and we will just limit ourselves to our high performers. And we've got a particular problem in the drilling area. That's the area where lots of people are leaving. So they're the area that we will do our analysis on. So what we then do is we go into our employee details, and here is all the employees within the drilling area who are more than 50% likely to leave. So we can go into somebody. We might have a particular look at this chap. Actually, his data is not very good because he's only been with the firm for 1 year. So let me just go back into the employee details. I'll clear out of that. Let's have a look at which person shall we pick? Let's have a look at this guy. So you can see that this person's turnover probability is quite low, which is good. But if we were going to take some action to make it even more likely that he wouldn't leave, these are the things that the system is suggesting that we would do. If we increased his salary, that would significantly reduce his likelihood of leaving. Interestingly, if we increased his bonus, that would significantly increase his chances of leaving. And similarly, if we increased his salary by more than in the past, that would increase his chances of leaving. We find that this is often because if you give somebody a particular bonus, it really validates their own perception of their value in the marketplace and leads to them starting to look for different work. So that's an interesting byproduct of this. If we changed their home office, it would significantly increase their chances of leaving. But if we improved their review, it would decrease their chances of leaving. So you can see that you're able to really drill into these particular issues to try to understand why we're seeing turnover and what we can do to prevent that turnover. So in this example, we've gone into another person in the drilling area. Their chances of leaving is increasing. That's a problem. And the system is saying, if you pull any of these levers, you're actually going to make it worse. You're going to increase his chances of leaving, but you can do one particular thing that will decrease his chances of leaving, and that's increase his bonus. So it allows you to be very, very accurate and take very targeted action to try to solve your business problem. In this case, reduce turnover of your high performers. I'll go out of this and back into the presentation. We've got 2 more case studies to go. The next one is what we call our investor portfolio analysis case study. This is an example of a existing process that was around the firm, which we were able to significantly improve the experience for both the consultant inside KPMG and the client experience. So we would provide clients with a very complex spreadsheet that was difficult to use. It looked a lot like this, that would give them risk information about their asset holdings. It was very effective, but it's not really a very pleasant experience for the client to get an Excel spreadsheet like this. So what we were able to do is just take the Excel spreadsheet, run it through Alteryx, and build a ClickView dashboard so that the client was able to obtain a dashboard, which was much easier for them to interact with and provided a much better experience. And the reason I show this one is that here is the Alteryx workflow here, but we've actually made it possible for the consultants just to upload the Excel spreadsheet into the Alteryx app using a gallery that's accessing our central Alteryx server, and it automatically gives them the ClickView file, which they're able to send on to the client. This is what the ClickView dashboard looks like at the back end. Again, I'll just jump out of this and I'll show you how it comes together. So here's our investor portfolio Alteryx application. It looks like this. This is probably it is the same screenshot that you saw in the presentation a moment ago. So it takes in the Excel spreadsheet over here and builds the ClickView dashboard. But consultant doesn't even need to do this. They don't need to understand it. They don't need to see it. They can just call the workflow, which they're able to do, call the application, which they are able to do directly from the server. And the application, if I just run it, it looks like this. So it just asks them, please upload the risk assessment file. So you look for your particular file. Here it is here. And we want our risk assessment report. And then please upload the accompanying data that allows you to do the risk assessment of all of the assets. hit finish, and it goes and builds your QlikView dashboard. The QlikView dashboard, I'll just close out of this one. And I'll close out of this one as well. These were the other ones that we were looking at before. So if I hit finish there, I did see it pop up a second ago. Here it is here. So this is what the dashboard looks like. Instead of the Excel spreadsheet, we've got a nice dashboard. We're able to drill in quite quickly into the specific classes of assets that are of higher risk and understand what they are. There's definitions of all of the assets down here. So it's a much better experience for the client and a very easy process for the consultant. I'll go back into my presentation. We now come to our last case study, which is the most interesting one. So we also used Alteryx to predict the winners of the World Cup in last year in Brazil. And we did this using the predictive analytics tools in Alteryx. We visualized the results in QlikView. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But we also entered the model into a competition run by sportingintelligence.com. And the competition required an algorithm to predict the outcome of all of the matches in the World Cup. So you weren't allowed to use human judgment. You weren't allowed to update your algorithm during the tournament. You just had to let the algorithm run before the tournament and predict the outcome of all of the matches. And the algorithm that we built was the clear winner. It predicted 45 of 63 World Cup matches correctly, beating algorithms that were submitted by organizations like Betfair, 538.com. So we're very, very happy with the effectiveness of the algorithm and that we were able to win the competition. I will just show you now what this one looks like. So we'll go back into our Alteryx designer. We will open the workflow. We'll look for our World Cup workflow. Here it is here. So this one takes in the results of all football matches sanctioned by FIFA. Hopefully they weren't corrupted by FIFA, but it takes in all the games that have been played. It trains the data set. It runs a linear regression to find the most important aspects to predict the likely winner of the match. And it then simulates all of the World Cup matches. So it takes in all of the World Cup groups and the current ranking of all of the sides and simulates the outcomes of all of the matches and outputs that into a QlikView dashboard. The QlikView dashboard looks like this. If I go in and open that one, find my World Cup, and here is my World Cup dashboard. I'll just clear out of that one. So here you can see all of the teams and all of the groups who were in the World Cup last year. And the algorithm actually predicted Brazil to win the World Cup. Brazil obviously lost badly in the semi-finals. But this was, as I mentioned, the most successful algorithm at predicting the World Cup. The eventual winners, Germany, were the second most likely team to win, according to the algorithm. You can do some really fun things with this visualization. I can obviously see who's most likely to win the final, who was most likely to win that semi-final, who was most likely to get to that quarterfinal. If I can go up here and see what's the US's most likely path through the tournament, and they're most likely to come second in their group, which they did, and they were then knocked out by Belgium. So that was quite accurate. Being from Australia myself, I wanted to see how Australia were going to do in the World Cup. The algorithm doesn't have a lot of confidence in Australia's football team, giving them only a 2.5% chance of winning the group and a 6.8% chance of coming second in the group, and giving Australia a very small chance of winning the World Cup. As it turned out, they were correct. Australia were knocked out in the group stages. So that is our World Cup tipping application. I am trying to adapt that one to other sporting events, but I haven't been able to beat the bookies using that algorithm yet. So thank you very much for your time today. That comes to the end of my presentation. My name is Thomas Haslam. I'm the Director of Innovation in Data and Analytics at KPMG. My contact details are on the screen, and I'd be very happy to talk to you about strategy, analytics strategy, Alteryx rollout strategy, or indeed using Alteryx and Qlik to solve your business problems and visualize your data. Thank you very much.